Right, good evening, everyone. You're listening to us, the 12th Man lads. You've got me, Danny Chapman.
Me, Jamie Dalgano. How are we doing?
Me, Phil Martin.
Me, Steve Jackson.
And me, Josh Jones.
Live from Amsterdam.
Yeah, it should sort itself out, everyone. I hope it does anyway.
If you're getting knocked on the door with that red light area that you're in, just remember your price list.
It's getting ready.
That's his sunbed.
Have you set a smoke bomb off?
Live from the South Standers.
I'd love to know what your neighbours think.
So, lads,
I don't know. You're one of them. You should know.
Don't have to tell everyone.
Right, lads. So, what's everyone been up to? We've had a week off of not posting anything. We've had the YouTube video out of the interview with Yusuf, but we'll be putting that out audio soon on Spotify and other ways of listening. So, what's everyone been up to this week, Dally?
Just back at work. Last quiet weekend with no football. Just counting down the days. Obviously, it's like Christmas Eve, isn't it? With football back tomorrow. So, yeah. Just cracking on.
Bill, you've been sent home furloughed again.
Yeah.
They just don't want you there, mate.
No. It's just chill, isn't it? Football and furlough, isn't it? Is what it is, isn't it?
Netflix and chill is football and furlough.
Furlough and Merlot, that's what you want.
JD, you been busy?
John?
JD,
that was
busy?
Hello?
Anyone?
John? Is it John?
Right, well, anyway, yeah. Back to work, so, not being off work, but just working and doing a little bit at home as well, just a little bit of odd jobs at home. But looking forward to the football, very much so.
Yeah.
See, you are always busy, you. Come on.
I was just working mostly. Putting the news together, of course. So I'll have that in a bit later. Lots of talking points tonight. I'm sure you'll all know. And just working, keeping busy. You're playing that music again.
I'm going to play that when you introduce your sports news.
Josh, so did you drive to Amsterdam or did you fly or train?
Eurotunnel, innit?
You're a bit overdressed for that window.
Oh, yeah.
It's before 8 o'clock, though.
Yeah. Watershed this.
There's a fair bit been going on, Dan.
Yeah. So, right, lads. Before we go to the news with Steve Jackson, we've got our game coming up this weekend. First one back. Boro 19th in the championship. Looking at the relegation battle. We've also got we're hosting Swansea at home. That are 11th, sort of safe. Sold away from it the last couple of games before the whole COVID situation happened. So, what's everyone's thoughts, ideas? I don't know what to expect.
I'm the same. To be honest, I was going to predict a score, so all I done, I rolled a dice and we won 5-2. I'll stick with that. That's it. I haven't got a clue what's going to happen.
If people want to show us their videos of them rolling the dice, send it to the 12th Man Twitter page. Get us the scores up. So, Dally, expectations, team?
It's a hard one, isn't it? Obviously, there's been a few rumblings going on, obviously, in the last 24 hours, which I'm sure we'll come on to, which rocks it a little bit. But I don't know, I started getting nervous again this week. I know they're only friendlies, and I know, obviously, we chop and change the teams and stuff, but I don't know, I don't know, I'm a bit worried if I'm honest with you, but I'd like to think we can scrape a draw at the weekend. It's a point on the board, and we've got to get the points on the board as quick as we can, because if they knock it on the head and they go on points per game basis, we've got to make sure we continue in the league position we would be if it did close. So at the minute we'll be out the relegation zone, we need to make sure we continue in that position.
Yeah, we do. Like I say, it's just it's unpredictable, really. We'll have to wait and see. Like you said, Danny, Swansea in a safe position. We've had squad upsets this week. God knows. I just don't know. I can't call it. Like I said, the roll of the dice was.
I'm sort of glad that we've got our first game at home. I know it's no like crowd input, this, that, and the other, but it's the fact that then the lads don't have to travel. They don't have to they're this week at the training ground, round the corner from the ground, and then Saturday's games at the ground. So it's like our first competitives in a place that's local to our lads, so they're not travelling halfway across the country, like to say Swansea, which is miles away. So
they've changed a lot of game times, haven't they? They've changed a lot of kickoffs. They've changed loads already, haven't they?
Yeah.
Does anyone know? I know we're not privy to inside information, but with Swansea, they won't be staying over in a hotel, will they? Or will they? Because for a half-12 kickoff, it's got to be an early set-up for that.
Do you think they'd be over the night before Swansea?
But then you look at the Millwall game. It's been moved for us, and it's been moved to a 3:00 kickoff on a Wednesday. And one of the reasons I'm saying for that was the travel, and I don't think they want to stay over and things like that. So
I don't know.
You'd like to think that factors into it.
I don't know.
JD, have you got a tune in hand? Because I'm just going to nip to the news, because I know there's a big talking point in that news that we're going to discuss. So
yeah, no problem.
Have you got your jingle ready, JD? Oh, Steve Jackson with the news.
Where's your cowboy at?
Unusual for that, don't I? So, first bit of news. Obviously, I'll go abroad first. Bayern could win the league tonight. They're currently live against Werder Bremen. I think it's 0-0. But so that could be the first, I suppose, COVID title sorted. That's something. But if we want to talk Boro, should we talk Daniel Ayala?
Well, big news, isn't it?
It's the big news, isn't it? It's I mean, if you want to read what the Gazette's put, what his missus has put, what Dave round the corner's put, everybody's got an opinion, haven't they? I'll start with you, JD. Refusing to play. Would you have a player like that on the books?
Well, he's obviously he's made his mind up, hasn't he? And we believe from reports that talks have been held, extensive talks to try and get him to re-sign a contract, but he wasn't happy with the deal that was offered.
Haircut, wasn't it?
So he's going. But I just think that the way it's happening is a bit Lyle Taylor, isn't it? It's not the best, and it's pretty disappointing. I am disappointed. The fact that at least we got to see him. Those that went to Preston in his last game, but it's. Was it Preston, by the way? It was, wasn't it? Or was it West Brom?
Johnny went off injured, didn't he? He went in the cup in January.
Right, okay.
Went off injured, didn't he?
Right, yeah.
He played it since then, and he practically, yes.
Well, he's a frustrating player because he's definitely the best defender in the league on his day. Without a shadow of a doubt, he can be immense, strong, quick, good reading the ball, and then he can be so frustrating and getting himself off at silly times. And then obviously, I think every year he has a spell on the sidelines. There's been a couple of occasions where the club have sort of questioned his injury. But like I say, he's been with us for 7 seasons, and it's just a sad end to it, to be honest. It's a sad end to it at a terrible time because, we wanted everybody pulling together for the last few games of the season, but it's just left a sour taste.
Yeah, massive sale taste. I'll go to you, Josh, because I know you've got a couple of opinions on it. 7 years he's been here. We resurrected his career. He was going nowhere at Norwich. Liverpool left him out to dry. Has this ruined his 7 years here?
Yeah, I think it will. It's a bit like, I think.
You're less red.
Yeah, it's sorted itself out, thank God. But I think it'll tarnish his reputation of anywhere he goes. I think it's a bit like what Lyle Taylor did at Charlton. I think once he actually sat back and thought about it and thought, well, I'm still under contract and I should be playing for the club that. But I don't know how the story goes at the moment. There's several different ones saying that obviously it's the club that's decided he's not going to play for the 2 games because he's not in the right place to play for us. If that's the case, I'd like Woodgate to come out or the club to come out and just say it as it is. It's obviously they've said he won't play the 2 games, but they haven't given a reason of why he won't play. If they just come out and said, we've spoke with Danny, he doesn't want to be here, but it's still up in the air. They haven't actually cleared that up. I think that's a bit where the fans are jumping on Danny's back. But is he being told not to come because he is looking for a move away?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, is it a case of is he pushed it, or has the club told him to stay away? What side of the story is right? I mean, obviously, probably the truth will come out soon. That's what his missus has been saying. But
I think with the virus is obviously taken into effect of this even well before this. This is something that I think the club might have got wrong media-wise. Nothing's been released on contracts. His contract was always going to just come to an end, and he was going to move on. But they've said nothing for weeks, and all of a sudden pops out when just on the week where you want everyone to pull together. It seems like one of them's just decided to pull out right at the last minute.
Yeah, it looks like we've just jumped ship when we really need everyone together. I mean, I'll jump to the rest of you lads. Just a bit of what you think. For me, it's a shame. I mean, I loved Danny Ayala. I really did. He was a fantastic defender on his day. I believe he got Gibboy's move as well. I thought he proved Gibboy's defender of them 2-3 years he played with him. Just what you guys think. I'll start with you, Jamie.
I think it's a tough one because we talked about Lyle Taylor last week, a couple of weeks ago, and Lyle Taylor was in a position where he's gone through his career at lower clubs and he's potentially got a move lined up. When you look at Ayala, I think a few things. We've let his contract run down. I appreciate we were unsure where we were going to finish. If we went down and we committed to a big contract, it could be bad for us. But at the same time, if this was April and say like coronavirus, COVID-19 never happened, and it was April, and we're in this position, we've just beat Charlton, and he's fit, does he play, or does he say, "No, I've got a move lined up"?
Probably play, wouldn't he? I've never been in this situation, have we?
I just think it leaves a massive sour taste because for me, there was a couple of games this season I watched on the telly. I think there was Huddersfield. I think away stands out for me where he was a captain. He was a proper leader on the pitch. There's been a few games this season where he's pulled us through games that he's played, and for it to end like this, the only other time I think I've ever felt like this about a player leaving in a manner like this was when Viduka left. And he come up to the North Stand with his little one. We all sang his name. You think he's staying, and he signs for Newcastle. There's talk of Leeds, and surely someone at the club would look at Ben Gibson and just go, see him over there. He got sold a move to the Premier League. He got sold the dream. He hasn't played for 2 years. Use him as an example, but he's someone who would put the shirt on tomorrow and play.
Charlie, if this like you mentioned about COVID, if this break in football hadn't happened, then he'd have probably played to the end of the season because he was still contracted. So
he's still contracted for another couple of weeks.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he'll have seen that he could have seen the season out, barring injuries, and then he would have still had time to, if he wanted to stay, sign a new contract. But obviously, contracts run from till the end of June, and our games this season overrun that. And he's looked at that, and he's obviously thought, well, you know, I'm not saying it's a bad situation. It's a bad situation. I mean, I'm not wholly blaming the player. I just feel let down that you know, in a crucial part of the season.
But the players.
Does this all boil down to when we let Adrian, when we let Bevington go? Obviously, I think we let Adrian Bevington go, and then I think all the contract talks seem to have stalled. Like we haven't done well in transfer windows. I think the contract situation all stems from not having any leadership at that sort of level. No one's gone in and said, right, he's got 6 months left. What do you want him?
Is it that
we've even let the club, like Howson for me. Howson for me, we've always known Howson needs a contract. We're still taking that risk with. Well, I think there's unconfirmed reports of a short-term deal agreed with Howson, but for me, that deal should be should be done and dusted now.
Is it the financial situation at the club? You know that we're trying to reduce the average wage bill, and obviously,
I think that's a massive part. Some of these players will want to stay, but I don't think that the club believe now they've got the same money to give them.
Yeah, I think we're trying to operate on a different financial model, and you know, the last time we tried something like this was under Southgate, and also Mowbray had his sort of hands tied really with regards money available to him. It doesn't end well generally, so I just hope that we can escape this.
Well, we are where we are because of financial thing. We lost some massive players in the summer. So, like, people were on massive money and replaced them with 3 League One players, 3 of which didn't feature and all went out on loan. And we lost Mikel, Besic, other big players, and then we replaced them
with as well. Yeah.
Look, they're seasoned sort of people that played at championship level, and we replaced them with 3 lads that they just didn't, by no fault of their own, they were expected to fill big boots, and they didn't do it.
Well, there were prospects, weren't there? And you know, it didn't really work. But that's obviously the financial model now that the club are trying to follow. You know, because we can't sustain the high wages. But like I say, the previous times we've done that, it has been disastrous. So I just hope that I just really hope that we can see this one through.
What about it's not the first time that we've heard reports of this ankle injury. Like,
yeah, it's all
under Karanka it came out, and it was kind of like maybe it's brushed to one side, but then it's come out again. That I'm sure that the piece in the Gazette, I'm sure you've got it there, Steve. I'm sure it touches on that they've had him to various doctors, physios. He's had scans, and they're saying there's nothing wrong with it, and he's saying, "But I'm in pain."
Yeah.
But the bit around that article that I took quite a big piece from is, and if it is true, is he brought new agents in at the turn of the year, and there was talk of him looking at a move abroad. You know,
it's strange though, because he shares an agent with our manager.
Nah, well,
I just think it was funny that his missus come to his rescue straight away. Hey, I'm going to defend my husband. I bet that was some good crack in the group.
Don't get you were Lauren, that, Danny.
So
I wouldn't even bother listening to her. I can't even read it. I'm not even going to bother reading it.
You're right, though, Dolly. I mean, his long-term injuries in the past have been brought under scrutiny.
Has he played a game in February for the last 3 clubs he's been at? Something like that? Not played a game in February? Or he's played 1 game in something like 7 years or something like that, like 8 years in February.
Oh, and I seen him down Southburn Beach last year. He just loves it down there by the looks of it.
He's our tonight's guest, people. Andy Campbell.
Hello, how are we doing, fellas?
Yeah, we're
Right.
good.
Andy, all right?
We're
Yeah,
just,
I'm all right, thank you.
we're just in the middle of discussing the Ayala situation, and
Oh,
You're going at the deep end,
yeah, a bit of a mess.
it's a bit of a mess, yeah.
especially after your rant about Lyle Taylor on your Adrian Bevanton podcast.
Well, to be honest, I've just got no sympathy for anybody. For me, the rules are simple. You're under contract, you play. You know what I mean? If that's to the end of this month, you play. If it's 1 game, 2 games, 9 games, you play. You know what I mean? The biggest bugbear I've got, fellas, is this, that we paid his wages for 4 years. You know what I mean? We're not asking a lot. We're asking a couple of games. And for me, he deserves to give the supporters something back. He deserves to give the chairman something back. He deserves to give his peers, his teammates something back. Because listen, we're in an absolute dogfight, and if we don't get out of it, he deserves to be ashamed of himself. You know what I mean?
I've got a question for you, Andy, as like obviously you've been a professional player. If you were, say, I don't want to say, you wear a Leeds shirt, right, and you play at Leeds, and Ayala comes to you, right? Would you want him in your dressing room after how he's been at another dressing room? Because you can message the lads at Middlesbrough, say, what's he like?
Yeah.
Would you?
I think it's very difficult. I think what he's doing is he's not giving giving himself the best opportunity to walk into another club. Yes, he's probably going to get the fans on his side. He's probably going to get the manager on his side, but he's going to get the players back up, because you want players who are going to run through a brick wall. And you know what I mean, and you've got your mates back every Saturday afternoon or every Tuesday night, Wednesday night. And if you've got a lad who's dipping his toe in and doesn't fancy it for a relegation fight, because that's what it looks like to me. You know what I mean? It looks like that. If we were in a situation where we couldn't go down and we couldn't go up, that's absolutely fine. Stick the kids in. Don't play. Don't come back to training. Shake my hand. Off you go. But we're not. We're in an absolutely horrendous situation, and we need to get out of it. And you know what I mean? It's going to take a massive push to keep us out of it. And you know what I mean? We need our best players, and he's one of them. You know what I mean?
He was club captain before it all kicked off, and like
I know.
And so if he dragged us through these last 9 games and put in them captain's performances that we know he can do, we've talked about, and we know he's got the mistake in him, but we know he can also be the best defender in the championship, like we've said. But if he did that, he could go down and then left. He'd go down as probably a club legend.
Listen, the next time he comes back to the Riverside, he'll know about it. And this is the thing, you know, we've had players come back in the past, and the reception they get, the heroes welcome, and you know, I mean, he should be coming back for that. He should come back the next time. He could come back. Listen, if he does go to Leeds, if the rumours are correct, and he goes to Leeds and Leeds blow it this year, then and he comes back next season. Is this a possibility, by the way? Because you know what I mean. They've got some tough games. They play Cardiff on Sunday, and you know what I mean. There's no crowd. There's not that. What's got a team like Leeds going this season? Yes, there were decent football inside, and they've got some very good players. But the fans play a big part of what they do. They travel in the numbers. It's a full house at Ellen Road. They haven't got that now. It's not intimidating anymore. So, you know what I mean. Part of me hopes that that just for this alleged story that he is going to sign there, that it blows up in everyone's face, and he comes back next season and has to endure the wrath, because unfortunately or fortunately he deserves it.
Andy, the Gazette report that he hasn't been sticking to the training regime, so sort of given to each player during the lockdown. What it's just rumours or unsubstantiated reports at the moment. How would you feel if you were one of the other players, a team colleague, you know, and you heard that he was doing this sort of thing and really edging for a move away? How would you feel towards him? Obviously, you've played with him for years. You'll probably get on with him. You love him, but most leave a sour taste. Yeah,
I think. Listen, you know what I mean. You see other teams. You can see, Liverpool. See the fun they have on Zoom, and all the players are logging on and doing the same exercises together, and then they go off and they do their own things. And you know what I mean. But the expectation is that that you do your work, that you keep on top of your fitness levels, and then you come back flying, ready to go again. You know what I mean? Because the plan was always to come back. You know what I mean? But the bigger picture for me would be I'd be more concerned if I was his new club, because if this is true and he hasn't continued to keep fit, then he's gone into his new club not giving himself the right opportunity again. So he's mugging himself off more than anybody. You know what I mean? That is he trying to annoy Middlesbrough fans, players, staff, club that say I'm not fit, I'm not going to come back? For me, it's nonsense. You know what I mean? For me, his contract runs until June the 30th or 31st. Then for me, you stay here until that day, and you leave as a hero. He deserves it, but now he deserves everything what he gets. And you know what I mean? I've got no. Listen, I was very critical on Lyle Taylor, very, very critical. And what's coming out now is people are not coming out with the honest truth and not saying they're not going to play. I've got a little bit now of a little bit more respect for Lyle. Lyle came out and was very honest about it. You know what I mean? Rumour has it there's 4 Hull players who aren't playing. There's other teams who aren't playing. Do you know what I mean? That are these cowards? Are these cowards who aren't coming out and being honest about playing and not playing? You know what I mean? If one player's done it and he's got all the stick, then maybe they're hiding behind something or hiding behind this COVID-19 and they're hoping that they don't get the stick what they deserve. But it sounds like there's going to be hundreds of players who don't play, which is just shocking, really.
We've had a few comments on as well. If I just check the comments, we've got a few people come in. We've got Ian Jones said, I don't think Ayala has faith in Woodgate, and he's not a League One player. Obviously concerned about possible relegation. We've got Ibrahim Tanner. We've got players need to feel wanted. We've got Bobsy on. We all love Bobsy. He's heard that Ayala goes to his family's farm every year, so gets to spend it on purpose. Could be in February. You must go every year, but
it's like Neymar.
Yeah.
Just his
birthday. We've got a comment on here as well about knocking Rudy Gestead, but only one player that should go to reduce the wage bill is Rudy Gestead. But in all fairness to Rudy Gestead,
he's played his part, hasn't he?
He's one player who's been absolutely battered by fans in his time here.
Rudy knows when to play. Rudy knew he had no future. Rudy knows
before it stopped.
But I think Woodgate said to him, "Go and put yourself in the shop window," and that's what Rudy did. Rudy put 5 games in. Because if we look at it now, Rudy'd be well and gone. He's not in our club's financial league anymore.
But if he down tools, he'd be. It's another stick to beat him with. And if he scores the winner to keep us up, he'd be remembered.
He's worth the waiting. If he does that, if he scores a winning goal to keep us up last game of the season, he's worth the waiting goal. Then you know what I mean. And the manager knows that. You know what I mean. He can make the difference. You know what I mean. The centre forwards, the way he plays, the way that the manager is putting his team out. You know what I mean. If he wants a big target man up there and he wants to throw him on last 15, 20 minutes in every game, he's got an opportunity, I'll revert back to the Newport game. You know what I mean? He let himself down there. You know what I mean? He let himself down. He let the fans down. He let everybody down, the club and his teammates and everything. But you know what I mean? He could have, if he did that to get a move, then so be it. But unfortunately, Rudy Gestead at the minute, you know what I mean, or this season alone, he's not the Rudy Gestead of 5 years ago, where he's going to get another club on the same kind of money. So he had to make a decision of, the only way for me to get a decent move and a decent club is by putting the performances for Middlesbrough Football Club. So, you know, I mean, Middlesbrough really can't fall off with Rudy. And I think, you know, I mean, hopefully he is a saviour. And then there's to shake hands and move on. Because, like you said, his wages, you know, his Premier League wages and the club aren't in that mould anymore. They can't keep on wasting money where they can probably shell that kind of money out for a couple of younger, more potential players, which can push the club on a little bit in the next year, 2, 3.
Yeah, that was something we said just before you joined the call, you know, that the club are operating now or looking to operate in the future in a totally different financial model. And that's the reason why we're having to reduce the wage bill.
But things like I would also like to know some of the ins and outs. You know, I know obviously Steve's financial situation was published quite in depth about a year ago, but sometimes you just want the club to say, this is what we've got to do, this is the route we're going. You know what I mean? Yes, there's a vision, there's a plan, but it's a 5-year plan, or you know what I mean, and staying up this season or at the start of the season was paramount and was the only thing that we were aiming for. Instead of, I was getting people saying we're going to go up, we're going to go in the playoffs, we're going to win the league, we're going to finish mid-table, we're going to finish just outside the relegation, we're going to get relegated. It's such a mixed bag where every other club had realistic ambitions and expectations. I think Middlesbrough this season have been all over the place. They have a good November. They're expecting promotion again. It's just madness.
Do you think we've lost a bit of
I think survival and get the big earners off the book was part of the plan this year. Survival, but we're walking the tightrope, aren't we?
100%. And I think you only look at, it's fair. The season started pretty well in my eyes. The Luton game. You know what I mean? I was so excited about the way that we played. It was energetic. It was full of energy. Some great goals. Some normal Middlesbrough defending. But you get used to that over the years. But we haven't seen that again. I don't think for a very long time. And you know what I mean? So for me, I'd be happy with staying up by goal difference.
Yeah,
shelling players who don't want to be here, rebuilding again from the bottom up, and building something special which the fans are proud of, and getting bums back on seats, because being at the Riverside half empty or half full, whichever way you look at it, it's rubbish. You know what I mean? The atmosphere is not good, and players don't respond to that. You know what I mean? And it'll be interesting how the Middlesbrough players do respond to it. And then empty stadium next week or this coming weekend.
So Andy, anyway, we're gonna go right back to you being a 16-year-old kid supporting.
Long time ago.
Probably longer for John.
Longer for all of you about supporting Middlesbrough, longer for everybody.
Supporting the Borough on the terraces at Urson Park, training there, but not getting to play there.
That's I wouldn't say regret, because regret's that was out of my hands, But I mean, a year or two later, I grew up watching him at Urson Park. I used to travel all over the country with my dad for away games as well, and I mean, there's some special times at Urson Park, and I just would have just loved to play there. I would have loved. We trained there, and it was special. I used to go home and tell my dad that we've done this and we've done that, or I scored at Urson Park. We did shooting, and I was just made up. But but the club evolved, and for the football club to move on, they needed to go to the Riverside, and there was probably no special or prouder person as a Middlesbrough fan than myself to be in that transition period that we've still at Urson Park, but then obviously moved over to the Riverside, and you know what I mean. It was just an amazing time for a Middlesbrough fan to be involved in that, really.
So who was in your little clique then from that era, going into the Riverside and buzzing about the stadium, and obviously you're going on, your brother giving it the dad, I'm going to the Riverside, I'm going to be playing, and this, that, and the other. But who players wise were you?
Well, we had Steve Baker. Steve Baker came. Obviously, he was the only. I'll call him outsider because he was from Leeds, but he was the only outsider, not local lad, who signed for us on youth team forms that year. So we had 10 signed on. He was the only one who wasn't from the northeast. So I'd say him, Robbie Stockdale, Ant Ormerod, Andy Swalwell. We had a really good bunch of players, but we had to remember it was dog eat dog as well, and I didn't really realise that until I went in, that, you know what I mean, we were all fighting for the same thing, the holy grail of getting a pro contract, and they didn't give that many out after the 2 years. And obviously I was very lucky that I had my brother who signed at York City 2 years, so he was 2 years older than me, so I had a good idea of what was expected, as in scrubbing floors, cleaning boots, you know what I mean. That sounds really bad, but it was the highlight of my career. It was the best time, and if you could turn the clock back to any time of my football career, I'd go back to them, because life was so good, so easy in terms of you're a footballer, but you're working probably 10, 12 hours a day for £37.50. But it was just the best times in the world. And I wouldn't, you know what I mean? We played youth team games on a weekend in the Northern Alliance, and Dave Geddes gave us £4 a draw bonus and £8 a win. And that £8 made a massive difference in your wages, I tell you. Made a huge difference to the week's money. And then if you got in the reserves as well, you got an extra 25 quid. So it was... you felt like a lottery winner.
Whose boots were you on?
I was a mixed bag, me. So I was Janino's, which was great because they were tiny. So it took me half the time than everyone else's. But then I was given Gary Walsh's, and Gary Walsh's was like a size 13. So like Janino's used to fit inside Gary Walsh's. So I'd spend all my time on Gary's, because Gary was like, just took me ages. And then if Dave ever came in to do a boot check, I'd just put Janino's inside Gary Walsh's just to hide them until I had time to do them. So you know what I mean? I wasn't lazy. I was just. We just had that much fun going on. It was just so much going on. It was just so much fun.
So, what was it like for that first appearance at the Riverside? So, anyway, before I get the first appearance, did Brian Robson give you the nod before the game to say?
Well, I'm sure Man United do it or did it under Fergie. That United, well, Middlesbrough, we used to take a U team plate to every game, so home games, away games, to help Alec the kit man. So it'd be on the bus for away games. They'd be making tea, coffees, food for the players, so they just didn't have to get up and stuff. Lazy players, by the way, but that's another story. Home games, same thing. Just get the kit out, be part of it, but still have dinner and things before the game. So this was Good Friday in April. And we played Sheffield Wednesday at home. It was a Sky game, and it was my turn, or I was down to do the jobs with Alex. So I put the kit out, sorted the changing room out, did everything else he asked me to do, and then went upstairs to have pre-match meal with the boys, and ate me food, sat down for the team talk, and John Pick sat next to me, and John never did that. John was always at the front and always he sat next to me, and the gaffers named the team. He put Chris Freestone in the side, which was obviously great for Chris, and I had a good relationship with Chris, and I was really excited for him. And then he named the subs, and as he named my name, John just put his hand on my knee, a little bit like the Jamie Carragher Thierry Henry moment. That he put his hand on my knee, he looked at me, and he just said, "This is your time." He said, "Go and enjoy it." He said, "You'll get a chance because we'll win," and he said, "You'll come on." And he said, and everyone's here for you. Your mum and dad know all about it, because they'd had a phone call off. The gaffer had rang me mum and dad and told them. So it was all set up behind the scenes that just did not tell me, basically. So it was, I didn't know about it, but everyone else under the sun allegedly heard about it. So it was really nice for my family, because they got extra tickets. And yeah, the game was a great game. You know, I think I warmed up more than anybody. I didn't want to sit down. I was just wanted to be just part of the atmosphere and just try to get on TV as much as I could, really. Just hopefully Sky would take a bit of notice. But I remember it was about 8 or 9 minutes to go, and the manager said, "Get your stuff off. You're going on." I remember stood on the sideline for I felt like a lifetime, and the ball just wouldn't go out. And you know what I mean. And I think in the end he told Steve Vickers or something, just kick the ball out. He just said, "Just kick it out." I think someone just kicked it out, and I think he thought someone was injured, and then just came on, and I was made up. I just couldn't. I could never imagine what it felt like to do it, and to play in front of that many people, friends, family, Middlesbrough fans, and yeah, I did all right as well. I give a good account of myself, and I was really proud of what I did in that game, really.
Yeah. It's like you say that it's all that behind the scenes works to keep you non-expectant of it. Like literally, you say, did the changing rooms. And the next
it happened again at Liverpool. Their manager had, you know what I mean. He told everybody. Yeah, well, he told everybody. He told me mum and dad to travel down to Anfield. That I was going to play. You know, what I mean, I even rang my mum and dad on the morning of the game, and they told me they were around my granddad's house, and they were obviously doing Liverpool. Yeah, so it was just the biggest like, and they didn't even tell the kit man I was going to play. So you know, I mean, it's the biggest kept secret in the world, but I was so glad I got an opportunity to do it. You know what I mean? In everyone wants to. Anfield's notorious, famous. You know what I mean? The Cop, Ian Rush's last game as well. So the Guard of Honour. You know what I mean? I've got the DVD. I've got the video. No, on the DVD. that long ago. So it's VHS. Yeah, so it's brilliant. You know what I mean? Something that no one can ever take away. You know, so it's an extremely proud moment for myself.
Andy, after your debut, I was watching Wayne Rooney was on Gary Neville on Sky Sports. And he said after his debut for Everton, he went down the park with his mates and played football. Like, what did you do after your debut? Was it with the family? Were you out with your mates?
Well, I wasn't one for drinking. Well, didn't touch a drop of alcohol till I was 18. I made up for it, man. But that's a different story. But I just went home. Sat in my bedroom, played on my computer. It was just like a normal thing what a 16-year-old would do, and I was just probably a little bit dazzled and a little bit like starstruck of what I've just done, but probably not realising how big of achievement I've just made. You know that. I remember somebody sent me something on. It was like the youngest people to play in the Premier League, and I think I've been knocked down a little bit, but I think I'm still 5th or 6th, and you know what I mean. Obviously, people are getting younger and younger, and it's fantastic to see. But I'm still proud that's happened, even if I'm 20th. You know what I mean. I'm still. No one can ever take that age away from what I did.
No, Lenny Lawrence had a big part for you to play at Middlesbrough, and then obviously signed you at Cardiff.
Yeah,
Cardiff as well. What was Lenny like to work for?
Lenny was very.
Still.
Yeah, Lenny's very old school. You know what I mean. He was like, he's like. I'm not. This was no disrespect. He's like your dad and your granddad all rolled into one. That he just knows how to talk to you. He's your best mate, and you know what I mean. But he also knows how to get the best out of you. He's just. He's dead friendly, dead easy going, but he always has the right people around him, coach-wise and stuff. And I remember he was director of football actually at Cardiff when Alan Cork was a manager, and I spoke to them both, and the deal was that I was going to go on the Monday after they played Wigan away on the Saturday, and they got beat 4-0. The manager got the sack. And Lenny rang me up on the Sunday and said, "I'm not sure the deal's going to happen anymore." So he said, "But I'll be in touch." A week gone by, didn't ring me. So I just thought, you know what, I'm happy just to go back and fight for my place with Steve McLaren and hope that I get a few more games. And I wasn't hopeful, but and then he rang me again and said, "I've been offered the job. I want you to make me first signing. Can you come down tomorrow for a game at Huddersfield on Tuesday?" And I was like made up, and Keith Lang rang me, and the deal got done very quickly. And I just wanted to play football. I'm not one of those kind of players who I love Middlesbrough, love my time there. Didn't really want to leave, but I wasn't getting any game time. I was getting less game time with, in my opinion, lesser players than I was when we had the Ravanellis and the Boxes and Janinios. I played them all there. Managers have their different opinions on players, and Steve brought in Michael Ricketts, Malcolm Christie, Nemeth, and they were his main players, and I respect that. And I just got on with it and just decided to go and find a team what suited me. And Cardiff was the right fit. Lenny, Cav, other lads I knew from the football world, and it was just the right fit at the right time, really.
And it went well.
It did. It didn't start great. Sorry, the loan started great, but we got beat in the playoff semi-final the first year, which. Yeah, well, you've all driven down to Cardiff. You've all been to Cardiff for obviously the playoff final and stuff and other games, but it's the longest drive ever, and it's the longest drive ever after you've just been beaten in the playoff semi-final on the night. You know what I mean? Lenny said, "Just go home, back to Middlesbrough, and we'll come back in a couple of weeks, and we'll have a meeting as a group." So I just decided to get in the car and drive back after a night game. I think I set off about 11, quarter to 12, and I think I got through the door in Middlesbrough at Martin at like 7:30 in the morning. I was just in a daze and didn't probably sleep till the next night. And you know what I mean? I just probably realised how depressed and how unhappy I was about what just happened in that season, and then more determined of what I wanted to do the following year. And lucky enough, we got promoted via the playoffs again, which, you know what I mean, is the best way to go when you win, but it's the worst way to go when you lose.
And when you score.
Yeah,
no, when you score, it's even better, mate, I tell you.
You certainly left your mark.
Yeah, well, as I say, I think it was written in gold that we would win that playoff final at the Millennium Stadium. You know, Cardiff playing in Cardiff was just, it was just amazing. You know what I mean? The journey from the hotel to the Millennium Stadium was amazing. You know what I mean? I don't think we felt extra pressure, as in, you know what I mean? We just felt the pressure, as in that we lost last year's playoff semi-final against Stoke, and realised that we had to do it. You know what I mean? Because we had big players who were, for me, half of them probably would have gone. You know what I mean? You don't know where your own future is going to be. So, you know what I mean? Never mind anyone else's, but we got over the line. You know what I mean? I'd probably say just, you know what I mean? It was 5 minutes to go in extra time. I was probably thinking, where am I going to put my penalty? And I can't stand penalties as well. I would have had to take one, and it would have been a hit and hope, because I wouldn't have fancied missing that.
No, true.
So we're
Obviously, a lot of footballers go through the career and they'll come to the end and they'll have a brilliant career. You've had a footballing career where you've actually got an actual highlight of a goal that will live on for. I've got many friends who are Cardiff fans now who we've met over the years, and you mentioned the name Andy Campbell to them, and they've got you in legendary status. How does that feel?
Listen, when I scored, it was 17 years ago, a month and a half ago, and I remember when people said to me that they won't forget, this will never be forgotten, and you think, yeah, you're just saying that because I'm still at the football club, or I've just left, and a year went by or 5 years went by, and it was still getting, you know what I mean? It's probably, the goal's probably more famous now than it was 17 years ago, and that's crazy to think like that. And you know what I mean? I go back to the ground or go back to the city, and it is like hero status, and you know what I mean? And that's not just me, all the players from that era, because where the football club is now, last year's Premier League, for example, you know what I mean? That would not have been possible if we hadn't got promoted that year, and the players would have dispersed, and the new ground and all of these things were so were put in place because of that season, and I probably would have feared for the football club, to be honest, if that wouldn't have happened. And you know what I mean? Middlesbrough Football Club, our team, we've been through some heartaches, you know what I mean, at 86, and you know, and going through some absolute turmoil, you know what I mean, relegations and promotions and playoff finals, etc. But you know what I mean, the ground's obviously pivotal with moving a football club on and training grounds, etc. And you know what I mean, and the two football clubs for me are quite similar run. You know what I mean, and there's always a pivotal time of that football club getting promoted at the right time for that team to move on. It happened at Cardiff with my goal in 2004, and it happened at Middlesbrough with leaving Ayresome Park with John Hendry scoring the goal to get us promoted against Luton. That those pivotal times are just massive in certain teams, certain clubs.
Who was your favourite strike partner at whatever club?
Oh, I love playing with Hamilton Ricard. I don't know what it was with Hamilton. I got on with him really well off the pitch. We communicated, but we never spoke. You know what I mean? That one day he turned up at my mum and dad's house once. You know, a random story. It was a Saturday night, and he turned up. I think we've just been beaten by Arsenal, I think. And he turned up at my mum and dad's house, and my mum came upstairs and said, "Someone's downstairs for you." And I said, "I'll just tell them I'm not bothered. I'm not interested." And then my mum said, "Oh, you better come down." So I came downstairs. I opened the front room door. Hamilton sat there with my dad having a bottle of Beck's, and I'm just like, "This is just ridiculous. This doesn't happen. You know, this is surreal. This." And then you know what I mean. He give me a drink. We got a taxi. We ended up going out having a couple of drinks, and that was just the man he was. And I loved the way he played. That he was my perfect, as in he took the pressure off me and took the things that I didn't enjoy doing. He won his fair share of headers, got hold of the ball, big and strong. That he gave me chance to do what I wanted to do, as in run behind and use my speed and my attributes to my strengths. And Brian Dean was similar. You know what I mean? It really helped me. But it's when you play with somebody, you know what I mean? I didn't play a lot with Robert Earnshaw. Robert was top draw, scored hat-trick in every level of English football for his country. Had an amazing career. But I never ever played well with him. And I don't think he ever played well when he played with me, because we were too similar. And sometimes that happens, unfortunately. And you know what I mean? So for me, it's Hamilton all day long. Well,
he wasn't really appreciated as how good he was until he left, you know. And
no. Well, I don't think there were certain games what obviously didn't help.
On his gloves
the way he played, yeah. That I think was it Bradford City away that he missed quite a few chances, or Sheffield United away as well. And you know what I mean, there's certain games and big games that he didn't. But I remember one game. It was Tottenham away at White Hart Lane, and Sol Campbell, and he absolutely just tore him to shreds. And Sol Campbell, man mountain animal, never give anybody spare change and never give him anything, but he absolutely ripped him up. You know what I mean? And Sol, if he's honest with himself, that must be one of the hardest games he's ever had in his career, because he just couldn't live with what he had.
He'd done it every time he played against Sol Campbell. He just,
I know, there was just something, but like, I don't know if it was because he knew he had the mockers on him, but he was just so strong, and he had the lot, you know. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited that he's coming back, and I can't wait to meet up with him again. Like, I'll see if he fancies a trip down to my mum and dad's and having a couple of lags in my dad's front room.
Get the Becks in.
So on that, who's the defender that you like to play against most? If you were like to say, I want to play against him, and then also the defender that you say, I don't want to play against him. Like, I don't fancy it today, lads.
Well, there was one, and this isn't going to come across arrogant or, you know what I mean, to put the lad down. But a Spurs game again. There was twice away and once at home. Every time I played against Stephen Carr, he had pace. You know what I mean, but he always had a good game every time I played against him. That, you know what I mean. I don't know if it's because he bombed on and he gave me a lot of space in behind, and I was playing a little bit of cat and mouse. But I always had a really good game, and I always enjoyed playing against him. And people would say, you know what I mean, be careful. He's got pace. He can defend. He can attack, and it's going to be a tough game. But I really, really got loads of joy every time I played against Spurs. And I don't know if that's that we always did pretty well against Tottenham. But you know what I mean. Yeah, it was always a nice thing to play against. The worst player. I've got two. Neil Ruddock was it was my debut, really. That he did everything to me, apart from be nice. He nipped me, he grabbed me, he put my head on the floor, he kicked me. He was horrible. But you know what? He bought me a drink after, and I wasn't allowed to drink it, man. Because Brian Robson told me I wasn't allowed, so I didn't. But he had total respect. He had total respect for me, and just said, he said, I wasn't going to let any young lad get the better of me today. So I hope you understand. And that was it. And it made me think that, do you know what? These people are just normal people that when they go over that white line, you can be something that you're not a little bit, and it's a little bit of a panto that you can put a little bit of an act on and have a little bit of an edge. But you know what I mean? As long as you know where the line is, and him and Yap Stam, and Yap for probably different reasons that I just couldn't, you know what I mean? I used to sometimes try and isolate him one-on-one and try and use my pace to get around him, but I just never got past him. He just had something. He just had, it's like a train that he seemed to get quicker as the leg race got on, and I just never seemed to get any joy from it whatsoever. And yes, I got a goal against him for Man United, but it was probably more of a mistake than anything.
Andy, we touched on your goal for Cardiff in the playoff final, and we touched on your debut. But for the Boro, what was your best moment for the Boro on the pitch?
I'd probably say the Man United FA Cup game.
Cardiff goal.
Yeah. Off for Middlesbrough. My goal against Sunderland. Do you know what I mean? Because local derbies, I was quite big for the derby, because obviously we used to go to college at Teesside Tertiary College, and we would be in our group: Sunderland, Newcastle, Hartlepool, Darlington, York City players. So, you know what I mean, to have that edge and to get a goal and play well, I'd probably say that, because there's always something meant in derby games for me. There's always something special.
So of all the players you played with as well, Andy, Paul Gascoigne being one of them, have you got any stories on Gaza? Common question from a few of the lads.
I've got a few. Obviously, the notorious one. That obviously they were stealing the bus. I thought that was hilarious. You know what I mean? I didn't realise how serious it was until the bus driver lost his job. Obviously, the kit man as normal, with the bus driver getting the gear in on the bus, and we were all there sat waiting. And Gaza thought it was funny to drive the bus, and drove it out of the training ground, which was great. And then got a little bit more confident, and then try and drive it through the narrow training ground. And as it used to be, it was really small before we used to get the old people's home, and not like it is now, where there's obviously a big opening. And I think he crashed it into a couple of walls, scraped the side, wrote the bus off, and it was just like a little bit of a moment when Brian Robson jumped on the bus. It was like, "What have you done?" And it was like, all the lads were like, thought it was hilarious, but then all of a sudden just stern face, because he didn't dare laugh. Or another one, we went to Dublin. End of a season game. We played Shelbourne away. It was end of season trip, and then we stayed over there for a couple of days. We played Shelbourne away. Gaza didn't fancy playing, because he just didn't want to play, basically. So he'd had a couple of drinks in the bar, and then the gaffer picked the team and told him he was playing, because the 10,000 fans who turned up were here for him, so he had to play. And I've never seen a performance like it. He absolutely turned it on. And just got man of the match, and had another pint at half time. And I was just like, should I try that? Is that the way you play well? It was just like, you know what I mean? I thought, I better not. And then we stayed in Dublin, obviously over the weekend, and we went into Planet Hollywood. All the players went in, and because Paul Gascoigne, we didn't pay for a drink, we didn't pay for any food. We got memorabilia given to us. Everyone got a cap, everyone got a hoodie, and it was just the most surreal thing in the world, that he got things given to him, and just because he's just an absolute legend and a hero to everybody, really, within inside and outside of football. He's just, Paul Gascoigne's just one of the most famous names in the world, never mind just in football at the minute.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, anyway, that's been great, Andy. We're now going to wrap it up round about 5:30, but you're coming back you've announced that you're coming back for the Micklebeck charity match for charities of Teesside. Who are you looking forward to playing with most? I know obviously you've said out on Rickard already. But...
I think I'm looking forward to being the youngest in the changing room again. That'll be the best bit. You know what I mean? Obviously, I was 16 and was coming through. You know what I mean? Like I'm 41 now, so some of those lads are going to be touching 55, maybe a little bit more. You know what I mean? Some of them, so a little bit older. So listen, it's going to be amazing. And the best thing I'm really looking forward to is the crowd and the attendance, and just seeing the full house, because. You know what I mean? The legs aren't working as much as they do. I still play over 40s, you know, which I really enjoy and love. But I think this is going to be the end for probably every player who, especially my team, you know what I mean, and the team who's going to play from 96 to 96, 97, that they probably won't or don't kick a ball again. And I just can't wait. The manager for me is something that has always been something special to me. And every time there's reunions and things, so yeah, probably Brian Robson's the person I'm most looking forward to sitting and listening to a final team talk from him, basically.
Yeah, class that. Cheers, Andy. Anyway, but hopefully
my pleasure.
Have you on again before the game happens, or
yeah, of course, mate. Anytime, just let me know.
Anyway,
Andy, before you go,
Andy,
do we stay up?
Yeah.
Do the Boro stay up, Andy? Or will we stay up? We will stay up. Yeah, we will stay up, and we'll stay up because there's too many poor teams below us and in and around us. In my opinion, I think that. You know what I mean? I'm not being disrespectful. I think we've massively underachieved with the players that we've got. You know what I mean? Yes, transition, but I do believe we'll stay up because I think Charlton will go. I think they're on a really bad run. Obviously, what's happening with their players, high profile, and I don't see Barnsley and Luton getting out of it as well. So you know what I mean? I think we'll just do enough to stay out of it.
We have to. We really do. We have to.
But to be honest, there's no other. And to be fair, Barnsley fans might be doing a similar thing, and they'll be saying the same thing. But Middlesbrough can't afford to go down because the club is too big, and we're in a situation now that we can't afford to go down. You know what I mean? The club's cutting the cloth accordingly, and if they go down, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? It'll be an absolute disaster.
I think Hull are another team that are struggling. I think.
Well, they're coming down like a stone, and I said at the time, you know what I mean, before this happened, that they would have gone. They would have gone, you know what I mean? Because and they were probably focusing a lot on the Middlesbrough game at home, you know what I mean? But Middlesbrough would have took thousands down there. They would have got. We've always had a decent game down at Hull with the backing we get, and you know what I mean. It'll be a different game now down there with no fans, and it's just the biggest thing's going to be who responds best to no fans, and you know what I mean. For me, Saturday's huge in terms of. Swansea will come, pass the ball about, look all pretty, but you've got an opportunity to get into them and upset them and drain the life out of a game and just getting the results. You know what I mean? A point's good at the minute, but 3 points is absolutely massive because for me, if you can get a 5 or 6 point gap, no one's catching you.
We do. We need some real leaders out there, don't we? You know, I mean, because of what's gone on. This week with the Danny Ayala situation and just getting back into things, we need players to sort of like
stand up the woman.
Put us through. We need big players because if we don't have them, then it could be a bad time.
Well, we need players. We need players to run through a brick wall, and you know what I mean. The biggest thing that I was led by is. You know what I mean? You got to be proud to wear that shirt. You know that I've wore it, and I know what it means to you lot. I know what it meant to me, and you know what? And I know what it means to Woody. And I would like to think the last thing he says on Saturday at 12:25 before those players are going out that change room, if they're not massively up for that game, then don't go out. Swap with somebody else because do you know what? Every one of those 11 should be going out absolutely wanting to break every Swansea player out there because Swansea really, yes, they've got a touch on the playoffs, they've got an opportunity to get in there, but it's still a big ask. And for me, Middlesbrough have got an opportunity to really get into them. You know what I mean? But they've got to be up for it. And you know what I mean? You win your battle, you've got a chance.
Yeah, there's more at stake for us. I think we should be we should outfight them.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you look at the Bundesliga. The teams who've done well are the teams down the bottom, you know what I mean? Away sides have done well because there's no, you know what I mean? And teams who've got no pressure, you know what I mean? Teams have clawed loads back. So Middlesbrough need to make sure that they're one of them and start on Saturday because if you lose that, you've got 8 games left. You're then struggling a little bit, you know what I mean? Then the next game becomes even bigger and you need to win again. And you can't afford to just see games out and think, right, we've got 5 games left. Now we're in relegation. It's not going to happen. When you're in there, it's so hard to get out of it. You know what I mean?
I think the aim is we've not got to drop into the bottom 3 in the next 9 games. If we can keep above that dotted line in the next 9 games,
100%.
Like you say, win the first try and win the first game. That takes the pressure off the away games. If we can win the home games, it's our ground. You know what I mean? That's where we've got the bread and butter is our 4 home games.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, they're all hard sides, but at the end of the day, there's nothing. There's no moans and groans from the Boro crowd. We've had a few where obviously if they haven't started well, they've got on top of them. You can feel that anxiety in the Riverside. That should all disappear on Saturday.
I totally agree. And one thing I'm really looking forward to, you know what I mean? I don't really see it enough in the German football. I want to hear the manager. I want to hear Robbie Keane. I want to hear the coaches screaming at players, closing down because, you know, listen, we're all going to be listening. We're all going to be watching. You know what I mean? So we want to hear some passion from players and staff because we need to win more than they need to win. That's fact. You know what I mean? So for me, the passion comes. You know what I mean? And I just want to hear it. You know what I mean? I want to hear a bit of desire. Forget all this fake crowd noise. I want to hear this.
You're going to be disappointed.
Yeah. I'm going to disappoint you because the fake crowd noise. Well, it's not fake crowd noise. It's pre-recorded crowd noise.
Is it you like Dan? Is it you?
But it is actual Boro. It's recorded from a Riverside crowd.
Yeah.
So it's not generic. This is
what game was it?
Actual. Won't be one that we played well.
I must have been there. There must have been.
I don't think so, Phil.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, like I said, you're right, Andy. It's a bigger game for us than it is for Swansea from our players' point of view. Because
yeah, huge.
A lot more to lose.
Yeah, well, exactly. You know what I mean? Swansea can win that game and not get in the playoffs. You know, so you know what I mean. For me, Middlesbrough, it's a mustn't lose game, and that goes for all 9 of them. It's not, I wouldn't say it's a mustn't win. It's not a must win. It's a mustn't lose.
I agree.
How many wins do you think we need, Andy?
I'd probably say we need 9, but I'd say 9 points would be enough in my opinion, and that's probably 9 draws. You know what I mean? I'd take 9 draws now, and I think it'd be enough. But if you get 3 wins, you can enjoy the last 6 games. So, you know what I mean? I'd rather get them early, but at the same time, I'd be happy with just churning over because, you know what I mean? There's nothing worse than coming in the changing room asking, how's Middlesbrough got on? They've drew. Oh, you know what I mean? Or they've won, and it just kills you straight away. So it's all important about churning points, getting the odd point even there, 3 points even there, and just staying above the danger line and getting as many just getting as many points. Forget performances, forget whatever. You know what I mean? It's about results.
I think it's going to be more tense for me from a fan's point of view because when I go to the game, I can sort of like get involved. I can give everything, you know, and I can feel as though
You've influenced the game, yeah.
I feel as I'm trying to help, if you know what I mean, by getting behind the team. But I'll be sat at home and I'll be racked with tension.
But then you pay all this money though for the players to step up, and for now it's their time. And if they do, you'll be even more proud because you know what I mean. I think the players need to realise how much the club means to everybody, you know. So it's their opportunity to give us a little bit back as ex-players, fans, and that alike, you know. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I'd love to. I'd love to have a Zoom meeting, you know, with a few of the players and like different fans and just, you know, let them know sort of what it means to us. I'm sure they do, but I'd just like to do that, you know, like the fans message before.
Yeah, I know they do. I know they care, but I just sometimes it's body language, and you want them to care like we care sometimes, you know. So it's
stand up, keep warm, John.
Different time care, you know.
Aye. TFP.
Stand up, keep warm in your front room with your hat on.
You'll have the neighbours phone the police the way he shouts. Before we wrap it up, just a quick score prediction for the weekend. I know we don't know teams.
We like your predictions, Dan. How you go first? We love yours. You've been good all season, you.
1-0 win.
You're all right.
Well, like I said earlier, I didn't have a clue. And I wrote
prediction.
1-5-2.
5-2.
I'll go 1 each.
Anyone of you?
I'm going 1-1. I'm going 1-1. I'll be up with a draw, I'll be honest. But if we can keep a clean sheet, we win the game because we're definitely going to score. Because there's
good.
The strikers' mentality, that innit? We're definitely going to score.
Definitely going to score.
I've slagged him off for weeks, so I think Rudy will get the winner. Slagged him off for weeks.
Do you know what? I'd love that.
I hope he does.
So do I. I
hope he knee slides and he's got a picture of me on his shirt. I'm not really fussed. As long as he keeps us up.
I said I love his shirt, me. I'm above it. I think we'll win anyway. Very positive.
Not a positive.
Too right.
Right, Andy, a massive thank you for...
my pleasure. Keep in touch, fellas, and I'll come back on. Just let me know.
Yeah.
Man. All the best, Andy.
Top man, take care.
Good luck, Andy. Thank you.
Top man, cheers, fellas.
Right, people, that was Andy Campbell, the Old Boro striker. We're playing in the Micklebeck charity game. So that was his point of view. We've given our score predictions. Say a massive thank you now to Red Army Radio and Dave and his team that keep us going, keep our podcasts coming out regularly. So, lads, Saturday, sing your heart out from your front seat. from your living room sofa or
Your front seat.
And
I would say put a Zoom call, but someone's bound to be slightly behind or in front, and
yeah,
I'm not doing that.
we'll give the Zoom call.
I'll
a
end
bit
up falling out with someone. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, we'll give.
Steve, have you got a message about the link that the club sent? Do the club want us to get it out early or something, or test it early?
Good shout.
Yeah, basically, every season ticket holder is getting sent a link. Even Dave from Doggy's going to get a link.
Well, like a dry run, is that what you're saying? So there's not going to be hell on. Basically.
So basically, it's a 5-step rule. If you get the email, log on as quick as you can, get it sorted, ready for Saturday. Because if not, there's going to be a big lag on Saturday morning. There's going to be a lot of people trying to log in, panicking, thinking, "Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that." So if you can get the link, log in as quick as possible, get it sorted, you'll be ready for 12:30 Saturday to the lads on.
Yeah.
The test link, Steve. Obviously, a lot of fans are asking the test link isn't working. What is it they actually view once they look at the link? Obviously, you've done it and got what?
It's I'm going to show me age. Do you remember when TV used to put out? You used to have the last of the chalkboard.
Oh,
Yeah.
Test card.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. It's just something to show that it works. So if you get that up when you watch it, when you click on it, it's
I think the club
get gold.
I think the club have released that it will not work on smart tellies. I think a lot of lads have tried it on their telly. They've actually said that is due to like some regulations through the football club.
I think to stop people streaming it, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people try and do the old dodgy stream, won't they? But as long as
don't you have to have a smart telly? Can you still have a normal telly and get the link, or does it have to be a smart telly?
Yeah, they want you to view it through your tablet or your desktop device.
Smart telly,
I don't not
the club said if you download the app, it's going to work better through the app. Simple as that. So yeah, get the app downloaded as quick as you can. Enjoy the game. Hopefully
Will
get
it
3
work
points.
be a 33-10?
No.
John,
you can get the butter snake on that, John.
I'll have to upgrade.
So anyway, before we say our byes, just please, if you want to be involved with the podcast, get on us at the 12thMan Twitter page. Ask us any questions. If you want to be involved with us, get on it. Like you say, we've had Andy Campbell tonight. He'll hopefully be back soon in a couple of weeks' time. Talk about how the season went. Any of the lads, we're all here to talk to if people are just feeling like they need someone to talk to. And it's a big thank you from me. And a big thanks again to Red Army Radio. So,
cheers, boys.
All
Yeah.
the best.
You're behind the butter.
All the best.
Cheers, boys.
See you later.
Sing your hearts out in your front rooms.